what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy Pro Football Focus, who we use a lot on this program. We love watching film through Pro Football Focus. We love looking at their grades and their rankings. Not to say that it's the end-all, be-all, right? But, like, it does give you an idea. It gives you a good idea of how somebody's playing. You don't need to argue that that 70 grade should be a 72, but you know, okay, 70 grade, that guy played. Okay, that game. Well, Pro Football Focus came out with their top 10 quarterback rooms in the nation. And it's a bit interesting because obviously you have a great starting quarterback. You're going to end up on that list. But then it looks at the room as a whole, and your LSU football Tigers come in ranked number 2 in the country in terms of quarterback room. They're right behind Caleb Williams in that USC room. I think maybe Washington with Penix is at 6. I'm trying to think about who's number 3. Ole Miss is maybe top 5 with Smith. Texas. They got Quinn Ewers in Texas and Arch Manning and Malik. What's his name? Malik. Why am I blanking? He's actually he's very under-discussed when it comes to the Texas quarterback room.
Giant, too.
He's a giant. He looks like Cam Newton out there just in terms of pure size. But whatever. So Texas 3, LSU 2, Caleb Williams 1. And I know it feels like we've kind of had this conversation a couple of times recently, but once again, I don't know that I can remember a year in which the pressure or the expectation was higher on the LSU quarterback room. And
2005, 6, maybe 6.
With Jamarcus,
I would
that's
say
what I was
6.
thinking, maybe 6 was
Jamarcus Flynn Pearlou.
That's true. That's
a long time ago, though.
That's nearly 20 years ago now.
Chill out.
Which sounds not ideal. It's about 17 of them things. I know. So it's like, okay, so then what are we adding to the conversation today? I would say this. One thing that I don't think that maybe everybody realizes, Jake, is that if Brian Kelly coaches a position, he coaches quarterback. Like the meeting rooms that he is in and day out, it's the quarterback room. And so he has a lot of input. He has a lot of control, a lot of say over that group. And so the team of Joe Sloan, Brian Kelly, Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, like I said, this team has as high of expectations to live up to in about 2 decades. And I'm fascinated to see whether or not they're going to be able to do it. Because if you come out there and you look like you did last year against FSU and it's kind of bumbling and stumbling, well, everybody's going to throw up their hands. And the backlash will be all the worse because people are expecting you to be so good.
It's no surprise that LSU would come in at number 2 on this list. And obviously, like USC, Heisman Trophy winner, healthy quarterback room. No surprise they're number 1 on the list. But it's no surprise LSU because as much as we've talked about Jaden Daniels, and you're glad Jaden Daniels is your quarterback, and he is set up for a monster year. You talked about the Heisman odds yesterday. Not very many times can you have a quarterback like that you're so confident in. And if he went down in week number 1 and your backup had to come in, you would say, let's ride.
Yeah.
Because you have Garrett Nussmeier, who you've seen, who you believe in as well. And so that's why that room is where it's at, is because you have 2 true bona fide SEC starters. Have we seen Nuss do it for a long time? No, we haven't. But we've seen enough, in my opinion, to know that he could get the job done. There wouldn't be that big of a drop-off. Would the offense change a little bit? It would. But 2006 is the last time that you've probably had a situation where, like, man, if the backup goes down, I feel this confident. Now, you've had Miles be a backup as well.
I would say you had a backup start the SEC championship.
Yeah, and a game in the regular season, too. What was that?
Middle Tennessee.
Yeah. So it's been a long time since you've had a situation where you had Miles as the backup quarterback, but remember, Miles hadn't really played a whole lot. You were just going off what you thought he could do. So it's been healthy before, but hasn't been this healthy in almost 20 years because you have 2 true SEC starting caliber quarterbacks.
A lot of pressure on Nuss, too. Obviously the most on Jaden. He's second in Heisman odds. That's such a billing to have to live up to. But when you think about Nussmeier, it's real easy as a backup to fall into complacency because you are guaranteed nothing. Now, granted, with Jaden Daniels' style and the fact that he will run the ball more and he will be exposed to being hit more, you maybe have a little extra incentive to stay like uber locked in and ready to go. But the point is that Nuss doesn't have the, like you're kind of getting at, Jake, Nuss doesn't have the luxury of that he's going to be allowed to come in and look like a backup quarterback. Like if Garrett Nussmeier comes in, people are going to expect him to play at starter level and expect him to play at like at least top half of the SEC level. And I don't know if that's 100% fair based on what we've seen. Like he's looked really good. The only thing is he still has been very turnover prone. And that's obviously, you know, the probably the biggest red flag is just the interception rate.
It's kind of part of his play. It's part of maybe what he is. And I'm not going to say the G word because I think he gets thrown out there too much as far as what he is. But that's part of it. Like he's going to take chances. And he has the arm where he's going to win more times than he's going to lose. Like sometimes that's going to drive a coach crazy if they have that kind of quarterback. Yeah. Some coaches love that type of quarterback. So when you look at the SEC championship game, man, there's a lot of good. There was a lot of good against the best defense in the country. There's a couple of plays you're like, why do you do that? And you're trying to explain it to yourself. So that's the kind of player that he is. But you can hone in on some of that T, not take it fully away, but clean some of those things up.
I agree. How do you exactly? It's that impossible needle to thread, right? How do you continue to lean into his strengths while making it, while making it less risky, but not so risk averse that you completely neuter him and you have a guy who just turns into Chad Pennington, just dumping it off.
Oh,
I know. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry, Chad.
Man, Chad barely had a shoulder left. That's why he was checked down, Charlie.
I know. Hey, look, he's like an NFL record holder for completion percentage or something. So good.
Yeah, he hit a lot of swings, a lot of check downs, a lot of flats, a lot of Texas routes.
Marshall?
Yes.
There we go. Legend of the game.
Name another Marshall quarterback.
Byron Leftwich.
So proud of you right now.
Let's go, boys. We ride. Tamale City. So Nuss though, if Nuss comes in again, he has to, and I know this is cliche at this point. Everybody says this, but in this case, it is more true than in most, which is he has to prepare as if he's the starter. And what is true in football is you are always only one play away. But again, Nuss will be given no rope. He will be given no excuses. He's not going to be given any leeway or margin of error. If he comes in, the expectations for LSU don't change. Not in the fans' minds. I'm sure in Vegas' minds they absolutely would, and they should and all this stuff. But in terms of what the fans are expecting out of this football team, if Garrett Nussmeier is suddenly the starter, I don't know that fans are suddenly going to be reasonable and be like, okay, well, I'll accept the it's okay if you don't win the West. No, they're still going to want to take advantage of Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey, Aaron Anderson, everybody we talked about yesterday, Mason Smith. Like, this is a very good football team that you've built this year, and nobody's going to accept the excuse that the backup quarterback couldn't keep it going when we think the backup quarterback is as good as Nuss has appeared to be at times.
Yeah, I was trying to find it as you were talking there. Garrett Nussmeier is not too far down the list of Heisman Trophy odds.
What?
I mean, he's probably like 20th. So, like, when you think about that, like Tyler Van Dyke, who's a starter at Miami, is behind him. Jalen Daniels, who's a starter at Kansas, is behind him. Rocket Sanders, running back from Arkansas, behind him. Harold Perkins is behind Garrett Nussmeier. Chandler Morris behind Garrett Nussmeier. Will Rogers behind Garrett Nussmeier. So, like, even Vegas thinks that if he had to come in and he had to play, he's got better Heisman odds. I mean, DJ Uiagalelei is just like right one spot ahead of him.
Wow. I mean, all right. So there you go. You better be ready. Better be ready, Nuss. Because, like, at least there's going to be an opportunity this year. And that's not, I'm wishing any ill will on anybody or anything, but there is every year. There's going to be an opportunity. What are you going to do?
I mean, he's ahead of
when it comes knocking.
He's ahead of Riley Leonard from Duke, who had a monster year last year. He's one spot ahead of Will Howard from Kansas State, who had a big year last year. So, that's actually encouraging. Like, if you're an LSU fan, and that's what Vegas thinks of your backup quarterback, that he has better Heisman odds than the reigning Big 12 champion quarterback in Will Howard.
So, the number 2 quarterback room in the entire country, according to Pro Football Focus. Let's see if this room can live up to the billing. We are just 50 days away. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.